Jim Jones said he's more powerful than Nas, and everything shifted. 50 Cent didn't talk. He posted a federal document. Now one name's resurfaced. Individual 1. The wiretap, the silence, the setup.
I'm in the game still rapping at a high capacity. If Nas wants to smoke, come in the booth. I will rap circles around. You don't want no smoke.
He enjoying that 150 million, 200 million.
Okay then, so then leave me alone while I'm on the field.
You was effing with him. He wasn't bothering you.
Know who Nas is. If he's 22, he's born in 03.
Not all of them, some of them know.
Jim Jones was never better than Nas. Jim Jones will never be better than Nas. And this is coming from somebody that's not a Nas fan. I love Dipset. I love the Diplomats. I love Bird Gang. But we not about to start rewriting history because Jim Jones got confidence.
Jim Jones showed up on Shannon Sharpe's podcast and dropped a shocker. He said he's more powerful than Nas. Not just well-known, but more important to the full community. And right when those words came out of his mouth, everything shifted. Santi didn't share a joke, didn't speak a single name. He only posted one thing, an old legal paper right on Instagram, and let the people figure it out. Now. Followers are searching tapes. Past videos, everything's coming back. And Jim? He's at the gym. Talking reply songs, shouting back like he's getting ready for a battle, and jail. But don't get it wrong, this isn't only about Nas, and it definitely isn't only about pride. This looks like 50 Cent reminding the whole world who can't be touched and why some names always avoid court cases. Jim may have started this spark just to prove something, but now he might have kicked off something way bigger than rap. There's a reason why Jim Jones speaking on Nas hits harder. Because that's stress. It didn't just start last week. This wasn't some random old school vs new school shot. This fight goes way back to 2002. That's when Nas went on Hot 97 and randomly dissed Cam single quotes Ron. Called his album garbage for no clear reason. And just like that, Dipset went full attack style. Jim Jones. He didn't pause, he jumped in with full force. From there, it turned wild. Nas and Dipset began throwing shots through street tapes. But Jim? He took it personal. He said he'd smack the kufi off Nas, and he stayed with that same attitude in. We fly high, and it's more than music. But here's the twist. Jim always looked up to Nas just a year ago. He wasn't saying anything bad about him, so what flipped? And more serious. Why is 50 Cent now involved?
I never got to see Nas. I never got to sit down and have a conversation with Nas and things like that. I had called you about it and things like that. That was like still one of the people that I never got to have a conversation throughout my history of rap and things like that. I think I would love to have a conversation with Nas. I wouldn't know if he knows it, but Nas was one of my all-time favorite rappers coming up and things like that.
I've heard you say that.
Since the barbecue and things like that. Like he really put the whole dope boy rap, crack hustler, get fresh rap into perspective before anybody else.
But respect. Yeah, that turned into shade real fast. Everything switched. The vibe shifted, the honor. Gone in a second. It all went bad the minute Jim Jones walked in on Fat Joe and Jadakiss' podcast. And that's when Fat Joe chose to shake things up. He asked a question, one of those kinds. The kind that doesn't sound huge, but deep down, it's full on fire on old problems. And Jim, he didn't hold back. He took it and ran. No filters. No delay. That's when the energy changed. From love to real talk. From kind words to real issues.
I recently saw a clip on Instagram where a young kid was comparing you to Nas and saying that you got
that's my young boy
big hits.
He's wild.
He looked to you. He learned how to wear the BB Simon belt from you. He got his swag. Like, how crazy is that? Because in my era, you know what I'm saying, Nas is like a god.
In my era too.
That by itself could have stayed on the feed, could have faded away, like just another wild opinion. But Jim wasn't done yet. He couldn't stop himself. He couldn't wait to speak more. He had extra to share, more fire to throw out, and he was just beginning. Instead of letting the moment go. Jim stayed on it. He kept pushing the topic, like he was eager to make it personal. And at that point, it wasn't just podcast talk anymore. It was on purpose. Now followers are watching closer than ever. Because when a little jab becomes a full speech...
But remember, Nas' first record, The Barbecue, came out when I was in 11th grade.
Yes.
So Nas was my idol when I was young. Like you did, came to dressing, the wordplay, the music, everything. I was a superior Nas fan, period. I'd never take that away from him. But then as I got in the game, you got to realize that your rivals will be idols, and not to take anything away from that, I developed my own style in my own lane that these kids start to gravitate towards the same way I gravitated towards Nas when I was younger and things like that. It's a whole different generation.
Then, out the blue, Jim said one of the most wild things hip-hop's heard in a long time. The kind of talk that doesn't just stir the pot, it flips the whole table over. Fans were shocked.
And started going crazy that these kids love me. They don't really know who Nas is. If he's 22, he's born in 03.
Not all of them. Some of them know. But
you know what I mean?
A lot of them know.
Jim didn't only say he was more up-to-date, he took it even further. He put himself over NAS. That Nas, Queensbridge royalty. The guy behind Illmatic, God's Son, King's Disease. The icon still packing out Madison Square Garden, in his 50s. But Jim, he wasn't stepping back. He didn't stop, didn't flinch. In fact,
no, me, Jim Jones. No diplomats, no nobody else. Me, Jim Jones. Check my track record, then check everybody else's track record. Then go to the billboards and check all my entries, then check all them entries and and I'm not taking nothing away from nobody. But I hear the comparisons and then be trying to act funny when it comes. No, I've been spanking a lot of this shit about the industry. I've been putting on.
That podcast didn't just stir the pot, it flipped it over and set it on fire. And before the smoke even cleared from that show, Jim showed up somewhere else, a whole new stage. This time, Shannon Sharpe's nightcap. And Jim was ready to go. Again, he slid into nightcap with Shannon and Chad Ochocinco. John Santos speak for himself. But instead, he ended up throwing even more gas on the fire, and Shannon didn't let it slide.
Jim?
He began the chat by saying,
You smoke, right?
Yeah.
Were you smoking when you said you better than Nas?
I might have been a little bit.
But what he said next, it made people actually stop the video. Mid-sentence, mid-scroll, mid-bite.
I'm way more influential than Nas, and I don't care what nobody say. I know I made a little boo-boo when you talk about the sales and all this type of shit. I don't feel like getting into that rhetoric about where I started and where he started.
Well, you said that bullshit.
But listen, Nas was nice when I was in high school. When I was in 10th grade, Nas came out. Nas was dope. We appreciated him. He had a little bit run.
But just when you think Jim's doneticking about legacies, he hits us with one more bold take. He starts bringing up old Dipset versus Nas drama from the early 2000s, saying he was always a bigger Nas fan. But now, he says he's passed him in value. Then, he tries to flip it, starts praising Nas's style, calls him one of the freshest ever, But no matter how many nice things he says, Jim keeps going back to one idea.
But Nas always came up second to Jay and DMX and all these other people. Like,
ain't no shame in that. There a lot of folks came up second to Tom Brady.
He never had that type of influence on us, except for his first album. I already told you, I used to want to dress like Nas because he had a lot of fresh clothes that the hustlers used to wear, and we used to see him on TV. He had one of the illest albums of all time. And then in high school when he had the barbecue and shit like that. So I'm a real fan of Nas, but he kind of lost me after the movie Belly and shit like that.
But Shannon, he wasn't buying it. No head nods, no easy way out, no acting cool. He stared, Jim straight in the eyes,
but lyrically,
fired back hard.
I'm gonna keep it a stack with you.
Yeah, but look how you dress. Look how you dress. You don't even be in the same places I be in. And the things that we listen to.
I can be in the church house. You can't F with Nas lyrics. I don't know who told you that. Now look, I know you on that good stuff, but you're not seeing Nas.
Meanwhile, Jim was bitter.real. So bitter. He started joking on Shannon about his clothes. Out of nowhere, he turned the talk off himself by roasting Shannon's outfits.
You got a bunch of 40 and 50-year-olds in their panties because I said I'm better than Nas.
It don't matter.
Look at you.
Ain't nobody from Dipset gonna take you over Nas. Nobody from the Diplomats but you.
I got Hold on, Jim. Hold on.
That shirt too tight.
Hold on.
Jim. You want to go back to I really mean it? I really mean it started. We could go back to the history, bro.
But you didn't even say that, bro.
By then, Ochocinco was just chilling, sitting back, watching Shannon and Jim go at it. No talking, no stepping in, just that face like, yo, is this really going down? He was smart enough not to jump in.
I'm still playing at a high level. Listen, check my record. I'm still playing at a high level. I'm rapping at a high level. You better check my stats, bro. I will run circles around Nas rapping right. I will run circles around Nas rapping right now. Right now, I will run Saturn around Nas right now rapping.
Then Jim crossed the line. He said Shannon only brought him on for likes, for watchers, and that. Made Unk snap. The vibe changed, the air got thick. You could feel it through the screen. That wasn't just
this the biggest podcast you ever been on. Do you know what podcast you been on better than this one?
Hold on. We off topic. Hold on.
No.
This is what I do. You see
name a podcast you been on bigger than this one. When you get big, you get invited to Club Shay Shay.
This is what I do.
Nas get invited to Club Shay Shay.
But then Shannon flipped it. In a second, he switched from podcast guy to full-on rival. Because if Jim wanted trouble, Shannon was ready to pull him right into the gym. Jim said he was greater than Nas. Shannon didn't just test his lyrics. He tested his strength. This wasn't about songs anymore. This
you gotta start buying baggy your clothes, big fella. You too big, man.
You talk about you in the gym. Now you want to get me? You want me to see me in the gym?
Oh, we can do
that. Since you like to talk that ish, now come see me in the gym.
We talking about working out.
Me in the gym.
We talking about working out or strength?
What
you talking about? Working out or strength?
Work however you want to do it.
We talking about
since you got money.
And we talking about
put your money where your mouth is.
So you talking about working out?
Run them stacks.
You talking about working out? I burn you. You talking about working out or strength? Because you probably can lift a lot more than me.
Whatever.
You're bigger than me. You're probably stronger than me. But if you talk about working out, I burn you.
This ain't what you do. This ain't what you want. You are doing good when you talk about Nas and Jada. You don't want to see this.
Instead of firing back at 50 straight up, Jim tried to switch the talk into a workout brag. He dared Shannon to a fitness fight, trying to show he's still strong, still on top, just in another way. But while Jim was out here showing off in the gym ... 50, he had already made his play behind the scenes, and that one shady label name still sitting heavy in the background. Meanwhile, people were going wild in the replies. The internet was loving it. The fact that a retired NFL star was now the one standing up for Nas. One person said, Shannon did what Fat Joe and Jada should have done. Jones. You tripping? Shannon, thank you for speaking up. And that's real. Because why were they so quiet in that talk? Meanwhile, -50 was watching the full show go down. From the dark. And no, he wasn't joking. But right when people thought it stopped being funny, it got shady.
But it got, honestly, I can't, like, if it was like Jim Jones, imagine putting a pen to paper to write about him. He was so nice. He was so nice about him. How did you do that? What's the first sentence? What the fuck do you write about him? I'm not anxious to hear the Jim Jones diss record. Like, I'm like, yo. The used to have a so nervous was like B.I.G., Pop, right? Even Cannabis, like Eminem, used to have you like, if we go at it, dog, we gotta go hard. You know what I'm saying? But these Jim Jones, like, I mean, I respect you getting your money. You're like, exactly, right?
That was the biggest insult. Jim didn't just get brushed off by Nas back then. He got laughed off stage. And in 2025, that same vibe is back again. But it didn't stop there. While Nas stayed quiet and Shannon kept hitting the weights, somebody else was watching from the dark. The second 50 Cent heard Jim say he was above Nas, he didn't even flinch. He just smiled, dug into his never-ending vault of jokes, and pulled out one of the most shocking rumors in rap history. He called Jim Individual 1. And the web went crazy. Because if you know, Individual 1 ain't just a funny name. It's a legal tag. Straight out of a Tekashi 69 phone tape back in 2018. During the 9 Trey Blood case, lawyers played a phone chat. They said it had Jim Jones speaking, though his name was never said out loud. Instead, they used the code Individual 1. And in that call, someone was said to be telling gang folks to get Tekashi for switching sides on the squad. Jim's voice was never clearly proven. He was never taken in, but the blogs knew. The streets didn't forget. And 50 kept that memory close. So now with Jim bragging on podcasts and trying to drag Nas into a loud war, 50 saw the perfect moment to remind everyone. The streets keep records. He dug into his IG stash and shared that one post he had once taken down quick. It said, "So that's why they ain't bring him in. Say it ain't so. Jimmy, throw it." Back to 2019, when the Shade Room shared updates from Tekashi's case, a known court reporter, Claimant Tekashi, said Jim Jones was a part of 9 Trey and 50 Tika. He couldn't help himself. Then came the wild clip of 50 Cent looking fully shocked.
Please, whatever you do, don't tell him I'm in San Antonio. Don't tell him I'm staying at the Four Seasons. Don't tell him, please, don't tell him, man, because there's just so much pressure on me right now. I don't know what to do.
He straight up wrote, "I'm scared for my life." I mean, Jimmy is gang, the internet, laughing like crazy. But Jimmy, he was shaking. And here's where the story takes a twist. Because 50 didn't begin this fight with Nas. He's had old issues with Jim for years. And this Nas thing, it gave him the perfect reason to start pulling Jim through the mud again. Go back to 2007. Things got wild when 50 Cent brought Jim Jones and Joel Santana on stage. During a G-Unit concert, right in the middle of Dipset Falling Apart. Cam, Ron saw it as full shade. The team was already breaking behind the scenes. And 50 made it public. Then came 2019 Tekashi 69's court case. Jim Jones got called individual one in, a taped phone call played in court. He was never clearly blamed, but the label stayed and the internet went nuts with talk about snitching. Jim saw every post 50 dropped, stayed silent for a bit, then he posted an old school Bird Gang photo, full of Dipset energy. The caption, "Why you keep lying? LOL. I'm going back to sleep. Free mail matrix till it's reversed." That's a shout to a close friend doing 11 plus years for gang crimes. Meaning, Jim was saying 50's making up lies, but he wasn't finished. He posted another Jim brag. With this line, somebody tells Shannon Sharpe, "Don't start hiding now. You talked big on camera. Now walk the talk. My shoes tied. You already dared. Me in front of the world, might as well finish it. Champ." Ocho Cinco jumped in to said, "Keep it off film. Let's do it low-key. His sports name's on the line. Jim." He said, "Size, don't matter where I'm from, let's go." So while 50 was joking from the corner, Jim was acting like he's ready for battle. Then, to finish it off, Jim dropped this. "If you 40 and up arguing with me about Nas, you already lost. Y'all took the bait. My song plays go up every time. Y'all make me viral. I'm teaching you older artists how to market. Y'all stuck in the past, mad at how we do things now. Level up." And the caption, I said, "What?" I said, "IDPS. I'll out-rap any artist from my time. Whoever walks in the booth, bring cash. This game ain't free. We outside every day." But here's the wildest part. Nas. Still quiet. No answers. No reactions. Just watching. Meanwhile, Jim, still poking, still showing off, still saying he's more powerful. So if Nas ever does reply, this won't just be a clapback. It'll be a lyrical kill. And now,
yeah, Jimmy
even
boy,
the
you
followers
should have never
are
brought
Jim
this
out.
up. Y'all are only 3 years apart, and Nas is just like murdering you. You asked us to look up the stats, and here they are. Like Jim Jones, like you got a couple songs. I mean, like literally, it's a couple. But we're talking about Nas. Let me show y'all Nas's last projects. Nas been getting it in since 2018. Jimmy, when the last time you put out an album? Oh, would you look at that? You have been dropping music. You've really been dropping music. But nobody's heard it. Nobody's listening, bro.
Right now, Jim still poking. Nas, still quiet, and 50. Still pulling strings in the dark, because if that old phone tap really exists, Jim might have just talked himself into more than a song beef. While he's rapping. While he's showing off. 50's. Been quiet. Too quiet. And when 50 goes silent, that's when the big shot hits. So now the question is, will Nas finally step up and finish it with bars? Or will 50 let the streets deal with Jim and just drop the truth when it's already too late to stop it?